Hello, for those of you who've joined us, I think it's Thursday. Happy Thursday for those who are watching back on demand. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Jo Henderson. I'm a member of the marketing team, and I'm here today with not one, but two LinkedIn super users. Our head of sales, Scott Wright, who will be leading the session. Nice wave there. And head of professional services, Giles Garnett, who's going to probably help me with the Q&A. You're all here to discover the delights that a Dux-Soup team plan can bring to your outreach. Whether you're a team of one planning to grow or a team of 100, we can help your LinkedIn campaigns. We can help with your LinkedIn campaigns. We can help you to scale across your prospects without duplication and without big overheads. Before I hand over to Scott, who, as I said, is running today's session, I just wanted to let you know that, yes, the session is being recorded. It will be available on demand, and it will come to you via the medium of email tomorrow. There'll be a link in there that you can click on, and it will take you straight to the on-demand version. And within there, you'll have access to all of the content and all of the content that we're sharing today. So don't worry about panic downloading everything. Just listen, take it in, and it'll all be available for you tomorrow. If you have any questions, there's a question box, which I think this week I've put kind of bottom left. So feel free, if you can find it, to pop your questions in there. Giles and I will answer as many as we can. We like to have a little race in the background so you can get to it first. And any that we think would be pertinent for everybody, we will save and we will put to Scott. And that's it. I'll pop back up at the end. You can hear more of my dulcet tones. And in the meantime, I'll hand over to Scott to get us started. Scott, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jo and Giles. You guys can turn off your cameras and go fade off into the abyss now. We don't need you on anymore. No, I'm kidding. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is our last webinar for the year. Is that correct?
I see you still need me. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it's the last one of 2025, but we will be back with more in 2026. Yeah, so if you've got any topics you want us to cover, get them in, let us know. We can get working on them.
There you go, exactly. And so we can have a steady set agenda for next year, though. Nice. Well, thank you so much for that, and thank you for the introduction. And hello, everybody. My name is Scott Wright. I will be your host today and walking you through this a little bit. So today, what we're going to be going through is I'm going to give a little bit of background. I'm not here to talk about myself, but just to sort of give you a little bit of context, a little bit on my background, because Dux-Soup's basically been my career. And I've managed SDR teams using Dux-Soup before, so I'll talk about that. And then what is Dux-Soup and what is the team plan and what is that all about? The rules of engagement, social selling, kind of understanding how you should sort of approach people on LinkedIn, common challenges that sales teams sort of interact with and end up catching. Then I'll be doing a demonstration. So I'll share my screen and walk through a quick demo of how to use the team plan, some of the features, and then also I know that there's a few people that will be attending on here that have never seen Dux-Soup, so I'll be running through some kind of the basics there too. And then I'll end by talking about the targets and benchmarks that once you're up and running, you should have your entire sales team sort of running on, or have your the number of invites and connection requests of that nature. Then automation mistakes, if there's time. I will cover this, but if we're cutting it a little too close, maybe we'll jump to questions. But we'll see if we have some time to go through that one, because that one's one of my favorite ones, because we get to look at some live conversations that I've actually had and kind of critique them. Cool. So a little bit about myself okay, so I have to click this. Okay, I see. Sorry, I thought I could just use my keyboard. Sorry about that. So I started using Dux-Soup back in 2018. I was an SDR at a cybersecurity company and discovered this Dux-Soup about this. And from there, it's kind of changed my life. But I was able to manage two different sales development teams at a company called Cloud Knox Security, and again at a company called Viral Nation. Where I managed anywhere between 6 to 8 different SDRs, all running Dux-Soup in tandem with other tool stacks as well, and selling into other businesses as well, large enterprise from IBM, and working large sales cycles of 6 to 9 months with deal sizes over 300 grand and so on and so forth. And so understanding the subtle nuances of how you need to sort of approach people is definitely important. And so if you ever have any questions or anything like that, I'm always happy to share, and I'll sort of show as much as I can on this. But then from there, as I co-founded an agency as well with my good friend Sergio as well, where we built an agency off of Dux-Soup, where we were managing about 250 different profiles of Dux-Soup there, working with different companies from cybersecurity to Liberty Mutual to take your pick. And now I work here. It's kind of like a dream come true, if I'm being quite frank with you. It's really awesome, and so I get to share sort of my experience and my background over the last 7 years or so of what I've been doing with Dux-Soup and all these other areas. So feel free to ask me any questions and throw them in there as I'm going through this. So what is Dux-Soup? So a lot of you probably already know what it is to some degree, but there's some new people on here that may not know. The first thing I want to call out is that Dux-Soup's been around for 10 years. This is actually our 10-year anniversary this year. And it's important to sort of call that out to some degree because LinkedIn is not always the biggest fan of the LinkedIn automation tools, and AKA Dux-Soup. But because we've been around for 10 years, we've run the gamut, or gauntlet, I should say, of being a sort of trusted and well preserved sort of LinkedIn automation tool that people can rely on safely. And so because we've been around for as long as we have, we know a lot on how LinkedIn predicts in these different areas, and we are able to keep our uptime running in comparison to some of our competitors or whatever it may be. So we are still standing the test of time, and I don't know if we are the first LinkedIn automation company, but if not, we're definitely one of the first for sure to be one of the most popular ones from back in the day, right? Now, what does Dux-Soup do? Basically, is it allows you to use your own LinkedIn profile to send out connection requests, visits, in-mails, direct messages, and so on and so forth, and connect them together to build sort of sequencing as well, and have Dux-Soup send out a connection request and then monitor for when that connection request is accepted, then send out a follow-up after that says, hey, thanks for the connection, or maybe a visit or an in-mail, whatever it is that you sort of have. So it's effectively sequencing your outreach that you would have already been doing manually from before. That's right, I have to click this button. I might do that a couple times during this call. On top of that is, because we've been around for as long as we have, we know and understand the safety of LinkedIn. Now, you may find this a little crazy to believe, but pre-pandemic, you used to be able to send roughly about 100. I mean, this was flying safe, but you could send out 100 invitations a day, and that was flying underneath the radar. You can't do that anymore. And since then, we've been constantly revising our process, and with our engineers that we have here at Dux-Soup and our giant customer base that we have built out an extremely safe platform for you guys to go ahead and utilize, assume that you're utilizing it within sort of our guidelines and standards across the board. Then what Dux-Soup will also do is give you sort of analytics and visualizations into this black box of what LinkedIn is. Right now, there's no way for you to see what is a good connection request, or how many people accepted this or did that or whatnot. Dux-Soup allows you to not only create campaigns and enroll people into them and have automation go out from your LinkedIn account, but also give you the stats and metrics, which is going to be important. I'm going to touch on this a couple of times through this presentation and calling on what are some good stats to sort of abide by when you're running a team and whatnot. Then on top of that, one of the biggest things that people love about our platform is our integrations. Now, we have some key integrations with CRMs like HubSpot, Salesforce, and Pipedrive, and even Slack. And we have a couple other ones like Teams coming up, and a couple other coming up in the pipeline here as well. But these are not just atypical integrations. These are integrations that are also two-way, allowing you to not only create and update a contact and sync the conversation history inside of your CRM, for example, but also allow you to take actions from inside the CRM as well. So you can actually control Dux-Soup from inside of your CRM or from inside of Slack and so on and so forth. So I'll be demonstrating a couple of those here. So Dux-Soup, it is a browser extension. You can download that, and then you can create your campaign, enroll people into that, and there is no limit to the number of invites you can, or sorry, not invites, but the number of people you can enroll into a campaign or number of campaigns in that sort of area. So if that's what Dux-Soup is, then what is Teams, right? That's why we're all here. What is Dux-Soup Teams? What is this all about, right? Well, first off, what Dux-Soup Teams is it introduces the extra concepts for teams to manage their own individuals. So whether you're a sales development manager, like I had been previously myself, or a sales manager, and you're going to buy this for your reps, maybe you're not going to use it, but others, you can then have something that we call an admin privilege. So admins are free to have on Dux-Soup, and basically you get not necessarily access to the platform. You could be a user and an admin if you'd like, but you can have a free admin seat that allows you to look at consolidated billing. You can add and remove seats. You can essentially buy additional seats if you wanted to, or rearrange and switch out the seats, anything like that. On top of this, Teams also introduces something called team campaigns. Team campaigns would be for every one of the users, where now what you're able to do is create a campaign and have it be a team version that would be shared amongst everybody else on your team. So I could create a team campaign and share it. It would be shared with Giles and with Joe at the same time, since we're on the same team of these areas. Furthermore, is we have something built into this called team skipping as well, is what I call this. And what this associates to is, with these team campaigns, you can actually turn this on and then skip each other's accounts. So let's say that Giles and Joe are going after contacts at Apple, and I happen to also go after contacts at Apple. Well, as long as my team campaign is turned on in these areas, I would actually end up skipping those people and not being able to hit or run into the mix of those. So now you'd be able to ensure yourself that you're not overlapping or touching any of the same people, so to speak. So you can ensure that everybody is sort of segregated or separated in terms of their outreach, but you're collectively approaching the same group of people. This also works really well if all three of us were to, for example, approach one company, right? If all of us were to approach Apple at the same time deliberately, we could now collectively approach Apple, but ensure that none of us are going to overlap, even if we build our search and our lists and they contain some of the same people across the board there. So you can turn that on and be able to share it. Then on top of that is, if you are an admin, you get access to what is called a multi-funnel. And sorry for the low res graphics here. You can, if you can't tell, I'm not a graphic designer, but I've been trying to use a little bit of the ChatGPT image generations, and well, it looks like I need a little bit of work still. But that said, the multi-funnel, what this is able to do is it gives the admins the ability to look into everybody's metrics and KPIs from a high 30,000 foot view. This works really well for sales managers and SDR managers alike, or anybody who wants to get a little bit of insight into sort of how the campaigns are working and can sort of see, oh, how is Giles running? Or maybe you want to keep tabs. Hey, is Giles actually working? Wink, wink. And see if he's actually sending out or utilizing the tool effectively, or, you know, be able to see different campaigns and analytics associated with that type of stuff. So you get the ability to sort of see all those. So the Teams campaign allows for the admins, the shareable campaigns for the team campaigns, team skipping, and multi-funnel. And this is only available on our Turbo and Cloud offerings, but this is all free. This costs absolutely nothing to add to your existing plans and whatnot. There's just one catch, and that catch is that you need more than one seat to sign up with. And you can sign up right from our website as well, but it costs absolutely nothing to add admins or, you know, take advantage of all of these features and functionalities. So, which is great news, I guess, for everybody there. Now, how do we utilize this a little bit more? Well, when you're building out these sort of campaigns and you're running this type of stuff, it's important to realize, this is kind of some more basic areas here that I'll talk about, but it's important for you to realize a little bit on what LinkedIn is, right? And LinkedIn is a social media site, just like Instagram, just like Facebook, just like Twitter or X. I don't know, sometimes I have a hard time saying Twitter or even X or Reddit or any of these other ones, right? But with LinkedIn, it's designed for professional networking related services. And so it's important for you to treat it like a social media platform. It's not an email platform. It's not phone calling. It's a completely different type of medium in these areas. So one of the things I encourage people to do is kind of realize, wait, why should I take my email template and plug it in as my LinkedIn message when this is not email, right? You want to treat it more like chat, so to speak, or however you would normally approach somebody on LinkedIn. Like if you were to talk to a friend or a colleague or something like that, how you would sort of approach them is how you want to use LinkedIn also to yourself as well. You don't always have to be all business suit and tie, if you will, and say, dear sir or madam, blah, 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 sincerely yours, Scott, and here's my email address and whatnot. You can be much more short and more text oriented, if you will, as if you treat it like a little bit like a text message, and be yourself, be genuine on these areas. Then it's important to realize that only 5%, I don't think that pie chart actually is 5% related, but only 5% of the people that you reach out to on LinkedIn are actively in market for what it is you're likely selling or offering. LinkedIn did a study on this. It's called the LinkedIn 95-5 rule. You can actually go and search it. LinkedIn paid for this to be done from one of their business research arms and whatnot that analyzes a lot of their LinkedIn data. And what they had found is only 5% of companies were actively in market for any of these types of things, and the things that were being offered, which means 95% of the people that you're reaching out to are not in market for what it is you're offering. So what I mean by that is maybe don't come up off the bat trying to sell in your messaging and being like, I just want to provide a value to a pain point that they may have. Well, there's a very good chance that they're not in market for what it is that you're offering. So why shoot your shot that way right now? Instead, try to build a relationship and try to get more engagement. And this goes hand in hand with not being cringy as well. Let's be real. LinkedIn is a very cringy space. It's very, very cringy. It's like I've spent so many years of my life on LinkedIn, and I don't know how I feel about being able to say, I guess I could consider myself an expert in the LinkedIn area. But it's definitely a cringy spot, being an expert in cringe, I suppose. But there's a way to not be cringy as well and be generic and actually treat it for the platform that it is, which is to network at the end of the day and build that out, right? So be casual, be helpful, be curious. Remember that they're most likely not going to be drooling at the mouth to be purchasing your product or offering. So play it cool a little bit, right? And try to get them to accept, respond, have a conversation, and execute your call to action. And using questions and being a little bit provocative is a great way to go about this. You can write questions in your automation that you build into Dux-Soup that can allow you to sort of bring up a question that is almost qualifying in nature, that is also provocative to some degree, and allow them to reply to you and carry on that through and through, right? So understanding some of these is a really great fundamental when getting into the space of all LinkedIn automation, especially with doing Dux-Soup, whether you're on the teams or on an individual or really any of the automation, even in general from a manual standpoint as well. It's important to sort of take these across. On top of that is, over my years, what I've seen with many sales teams that I've worked with, whether it's at Dux-Soup, whether it's at Amped Marketing, whether it's my own, trials and tribulations of managing teams and whatnot, this is what I've sort of seen across the board of where sales teams sort of struggle when it comes to managing LinkedIn automation tools, is that they lack in viewable activity, which means basically they're not, sales managers and SDRs are not able to really see any of the KPIs or analytics that are going on. They have nothing to really benchmark this against, like what's a good acceptance ratio? What's a good response ratio? What's a good number of meetings that they should be setting or qualifying in on a weekly basis? How do they track things? What's a good way to track this person? Like when they've accepted the connection and they responded, how do I go from there? Understanding that, it's LinkedIn is a workflow interference to some degree. some SDR teams or sales teams spend their entire day from 8 to 5 inside of outreach.io and don't lift their head up out of that until 5 p.m. Right? Some people are scattered across multiple different tools and have to hop in and out of these other areas. And so what I see quite often is that people don't pay attention to the value that LinkedIn is offering when the reply rates and sort of lead generation field is just nurtured and ready for you to respond to them right there. On top of that, poor targeting. This, if I have time, I'll be able to cover that here. And then scalability is that people don't know how to scale because they're afraid to get in LinkedIn jail and all these other areas. Inbox chaos as well. So people being able to see their inbox on LinkedIn and not knowing, like, how do I manage these conversations? I have so many going on. This guy just said, thanks for the connection. How do I manage that? All of these things. And then last but not least is just straight up horrible messaging, right? And so all of these are reasons that and challenges that I see sales teams sort of failing with. And Dux-Soup can help with pretty much all of these areas and being able to provide you with that area. And so what I want to do is actually share my screen here for a second and walk you through on what these features are for for Teams, and walk through a quick little demo here. Okay, 1 second here. Can we see my screen? Can I get a confirmation from
we can.
the audience? Yeah?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right. Fantastic. And I'm looking at the time here, and I'm going to need to spend a little bit too much time on the introduction there. I'm going to have to speed this up a little bit. Right. So Dux-Soup is a Google Chrome extension that you can just download, right? And when you have it downloaded, you can navigate to the Dux Dash, right? And this is your, and let me blow this up a little bit for everybody who has smaller screens at home. This is your mission control for any and all things Dux-Soup related, right? And so you can go ahead and create drip campaigns here. And apologies if a lot of people on this call already know what this is, just making sure that, cover all bases. But you can create drip campaigns here by creating a new campaign. Here's an example of one. You could have a connection request followed by a series of follow-up messages. You can do any combination of message, endorse, visit, in-mail, or follow. You can also have it go directly to your regular inbox or your sales nav inbox or your recruiter inbox as well on any of those platforms. And then you can have multiple different campaigns running. You can have as many campaigns running all at once simultaneously, allowing you to now A/B test across the board as well. There's no limit to the number of campaigns you can create, and there's no limit to the number of people you can enroll into these campaigns. Now, with Teams, one of the features that you are able to get, as I mentioned before, is an admin. And if you are an admin, you get the ability to have license billing administration rights. And so what that means is you get this pretty little tab over here on the left-hand side. So it says license admin here. And what you'd be able to do is you will see everybody who currently is on your team seats, and you can go ahead and trash the seat right here if they no longer work for you. Let's say Giles just hasn't been hitting his quota, and it's about time because he's just been riding on his coattails for so long. So it's about time we had to get rid of him. So I go ahead and trash the seat there, and I gave that seat over to Joe, if you will. To give that seat to a new person, all you simply do is I would give this license key to the new hire or whoever it would be. They would go ahead and download the Dux-Soup extension, and they can go ahead and implement the license key inside of the Dux-Soup options. Maybe Giles or Joe can go ahead and drop in a link on how to add in the external license keys if when you're on a team plan. And that is from there. Furthermore, you can see how much you're paying by navigating to your area here and and seeing how much is being paid. Now, it doesn't show on mine because of I have like a quasi weird license here because my license is kind of associated with a developer license here, but you would see a little button here that would allow you to see how much you're paying and what your current bill is and all things accordingly, and you can purchase additional seats from here as well. Then, as an admin, you will get access to what is called a multi-funnel. And of course, it's going to load out in an awkward way here. If it does, there we go. Looks like it's pulling up in an awkward fashion here. Apologies. And what a wonderful time. That's okay. I always have a backup in my plan here. So sorry for the technical difficulties there. And so popping this up again is if you're an admin, you will have access to what is called a multi-funnel. This will allow you to see into the funnels of every single one of your other users here. Now, right now, it seems to be having an issue loading for this other one. And so I'm pulling up a test license here. But effectively, you'd be able to see yourself and multiple others that have the license key implemented. And then you'd be able to select either by campaign or filter by that specific person's name. You can also look at the stats instead if you chose to choose here. And then you'd be able to also export this data if you wanted to, and you can also see how each person is performing. And so as a sales manager or SDR manager at my previous organizations, what I actually use this for is I would use this for, I would see all my SDRs on here and I would come and check it on a weekly basis and just see what their overall response ratio is and what their overall follow-ups are. And if they're sending out enough follow-ups and enough connection requests and getting accepted connections and so on and so forth. This was my way to sort of keep a pulse on them, because you have all the tools in place to sort of manage and monitor for like the number of calls they're doing, right? Or the number of emails that are getting sent out. But until something like Dux-Soup, there's really been no way for you to manage like, how many invites did they send out or how many people did they enroll on a weekly basis, right? So this is a great way to sort of keep tabs on everybody from an admin standpoint as well, and be able to see it all from here. And it sucks that I'm in a little bit of a technical issue here. Let me see if I can refresh this one here, because this one has more live data in here. But if it doesn't, then we'll just continue on here. Yeah, it looks like something's happening there. Well, sorry for the technical difficulties.
If you want, Scott, I can pull up a screen. If you want, I can pull up a screen from mine if you want, because I've got a similar view here. If you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. So then I don't have it. So then our users there. If I guess I hit stop sharing as a thing.
Yeah, and then let me see if I can share my screen. What I'll do is share that one. There you go. Has that come through?
Give it a second. I think it will do. Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Right on. So
this is a multi-funnel. I'll let Scott talk through. This is a bit more of a comprehensive view here.
Yeah, I can't even see that actually. It's like a very, very minute. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. I can see it now. So Giles, if you could scroll down to the bottom for me. Yeah, so as you can see here, and then change members per page where it says 5, change that down at the very, very bottom. So you can change this to all of your members here and be able to see what the overall, like where everybody is at. You can even change this and adjust it. Can you scroll up to the top and change it to the last 7 days for me? We're gonna see who's actually running stuff here. Giles, what's going on, man? You're only at 35 and it's been the last 7. I'm just kidding. Oh, you're at 59 enrolled. Looks like you just enrolled them then, is what it looks like. And one's been sent out. Jenny's been doing, Jenny's been doing pretty well. Lavinia, she's on it as well. She's got 100 enrolled, 53 have been invited. And then you can see the number of follow-ups and, the number of responses and the whole 9 yards there. It looks like I need to pick it up as well, or start cracking the whip on this ship and so on and so forth. But this is a great way for you to now see at a very high level which campaigns you can separate it by campaign or by person and be able to split this up to know what is the overall. Now, we also have the concept of qualifying in. Before, don't go to that, Giles, but if you can, just stay right here. When people are qualified in from Dux-Soup, it's a manually triggered sort of section. You can see the number of qualified in leads here. And that could be a good way for you to see how many meetings. So every time they set a meeting, they can kind of qualify a lead in these areas. Then can you flip to the stats for a second? Wonderful. So these are the stats. The stats are somewhat, they're going to look a little different. And effectively, they're going to take, if you're looking at a specific time frame, they're going to look at the previous time frame and compare it to this week's time frame, right? So that's why you're seeing two numbers inside of each one of those. And currently at this time is what it shows is the number of messages that were received and the number of messages that were sent as well, and the number of connections that were net new connections that were added from the entire standpoint from these weeks and whatnot. So all this can be exported out as well at any given time. Wonderful. Yeah, by hitting that button up there in the top right-hand corner. Cool. That was about it. If I'll take over again here, Giles, if you don't mind.
I'll stop sharing. Yep, of course.
Yeah, stop sharing there. And now I'll go ahead and share again. Can we see my screen again?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes. Awesome. All right, fantastic. So I had already talked about drip campaigns, a little out of order here, but yeah, so that's the multi-funnel standpoint there. Now, each individual user, when you're an actual user of the product, also has their own individual funnel as well, where they can see the information a little bit more in detail as well from here. And they can qualify people in directly here or message them or switch them from one campaign to another and really manage the entire person from start to finish all through here. And then the admins from the multi-funnel would be able to see any of those sort of actions from that as well. So what they see here is reflected inside of the multi-funnel is basically what I wanted to showcase on this area. Now, what I want to show also is how you use Dux-Soup on this. So I want to make sure I cover that here. Is once you have a campaign or one of your reps has a campaign and so on, what they'll do is they build this out, they go ahead and hit save, and then they'll hop over to their choice of lists. Now, why do I say choice of list? Well, your choice of list depends on where you want to enroll people on LinkedIn. Because Dux-Soup is a Chrome, well, I should say browser extension, it's sitting always ready to go right up here in the top right-hand corner. So it's able to sort of be activated at a moment's notice when you see something like a profile, for instance. And so when you're on a person's profile just like this, what you will see is a little widget will appear on the right-hand side in just a second here. Of course, maybe this is also... Maybe, Giles, I'll have you share again if this has a little bit of a, there we go. No worries, we're good. So you see a little widget sort of appear on the side here that will allow you to basically select the campaign, and you can choose the campaign you want to drop the person into and go ahead and hit enroll. This is what we call manually enrolling people. Now, we can also do this at scale, maybe from something like a Sales Navigator account. And in Sales Nav, you can go ahead and build a search effectively. And in your search, you can have this be, built out however it is that you'd like. And then when the search is here, Dux-Soup will say Dux-Soup at your service. And this little side panel now will look a little different. This is called the Dux-Soup Tricks. This is allows you to also manually enroll people here from this side panel and sort of prospect at the same time. So I could be like, oh, I don't want Vince, but I do want Melvin, and I can drop this in and go ahead and hit here. Now, this is all great and fine and dandy, but this is all manual at the end of the day, and we want to do stuff at scale, right? So what you can also do is just minimize this and enroll all of these people into a Dux-Soup campaign chronologically by just clicking on the extension, selecting enroll. Then you can choose the campaign of your choice just to keep things in alignment here. I'm going to enroll them just into this default campaign just for the sake of conversation. Then you can actually enroll you can tell Dux-Soup the number of people that you'd like to enroll this into, right? So if you want to do 50, you can do 50. If you want to do 100, you can do 100. The most you can do, is 2,500 on Sales Navigator and up to 1,000 on regular LinkedIn searches. So even though it says 130,000 results here, if we were to sit here on this call for the rest of the 20 something minutes that we have, and I go page by page by page, we would only see the first 2,500 people from this 130,000 results. So there is a limit there that LinkedIn sort of prevents you with. But that said, you could put in 2,500. I don't totally recommend that because you may want to change some of your messaging. But yeah, you can put in any number that you'd like here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and enroll these. And once you do, you go ahead and hit OK. And then Dux-Soup will pick up the ball and start enrolling from there. Now, with the campaigns, when it's going through, if you have this checked as a team campaign, then it would register for everybody on the associated with the team there. So if Giles, it would get shared with Giles, it would get shared with Joe, and then we would also share that blacklist or sort of a skipping list, if you will, so that if Giles or Joe were going after any one of these people here in this list, Dux-Soup would automatically skip it at this point in time, right? So if the Jack or Jeffrey or Michael or Kevin or so on and so forth was also approached by Giles or Joe, it would get skipped, assuming that my team campaign was checked for the campaign that I'm enrolling them into. Cool. So from there, you can then effectively see, sorry, lost my train of thought there. You can also enroll from a clipboard or from a CSV. And so from a CSV or from a clipboard, you can come to the funnel flow here. And when you open this up, you are looking at your stats and all these other areas here, but there's two little buttons I want you to pay attention to, which is enroll from clipboard and enroll from file. And so if you happen to have a spreadsheet or something like this, full of a bunch of LinkedIn profile URLs, for instance, just like this, you can copy these or pull it from your CRM or whatever it may be, and you can go ahead and select on enroll from clipboard and drop them into here and select the campaign of your choice and go ahead and hit enroll, or you can just upload the file all together as well. And again, if that campaign is checked as a team campaign, then it will ensure that it won't touch anybody else, assuming that you know, Joe and Giles haven't already reached out to them as well. So if they have, then it'll go ahead and skip over them as well. So pretty nifty features, and it's effective for when you want to collectively target all together and across the board there. So now I'm going to jump back to our slides here. Give me 1 second. Oh, I almost forgot. There was actually one piece I needed to cover that I missed. That little technical glitch threw me through a loop there for a second. Can you guys still see my screen? Yes?
We can see. Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So one thing I almost forgot, which is a huge portion. Actually, I don't know how I almost forgot about this. In your DuckStash on the left-hand side, down here at the bottom, you'll have something that's called App Connects. These are our native integrations, and this is going to be key for your success using Teams as well across the board. Now, what these app connections let you do is hook up these different CRMs or messaging services and platforms. So you can hook up Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, Freshsales, SharpSpring, and or Slack. And what this will do is you can actually select HubSpot, for instance. It will take you to a HubSpot login page. You type in your HubSpot credentials. Then once you have that set up, you'll see a widget or an interface that looks like this here that will allow you to basically control how you want Dux-Soup to pass data to HubSpot. You can have it create the contact in HubSpot or Salesforce or Pipedrive or SharpSpring, and it will also update the contact as well if you wanted to inside of those platforms or those CRMs additionally. These are two-way native integrations, though, which I want to be careful with there because that's extremely important to call out. It doesn't just sync the data, it doesn't just create that, but it also allows you to take actions from inside the CRM as well. And so if I pull up HubSpot, for instance. Sorry if you guys use Salesforce. It's just I'm a HubSpot guy, and I have this sort of offhand. But it works exactly the same inside of Salesforce, inside of SharpSpring, and inside of Pipedrive. It's just a slightly different interface. But in here, you can actually see from these different areas here, you can actually see a conversation. So this was created by Dux-Soup. And then what you'd be able to do is over here on the right-hand side up here at the top, you can see it says update, message, connect, and enroll. And I can actually select connect, and here are all my campaigns. And I can actually drop somebody into a campaign right from here. And there's ways you can hook this up with workflows. And if you have custom code as well, you can hook this up and do some pretty creative things there. You can do this also in bulk by here. If you were to select on a couple of folks here and individuals, you can then up here in the top right-hand corner, you can see it says update, message, and enroll and connect. I can select the enroll. I can then select the campaign of my choice. And then I can go ahead and hit OK, and this will automatically queue up everybody into my Dux-Soup account. We do have an update that is coming very, very soon. It's not here yet, but you will be able to manage other people's Dux-Soup accounts from inside of the CRM as well. That's not available at this time. It's just available per user, but hopefully within the next month or so, we'll have that new feature out, which will be great. So if you are somebody who's wanting to maybe create the campaign or manage something on behalf of somebody else, you'd be able to sort of do that without even touching Dux-Soup. You can just do it all through the CRM if you'd like as well. Now, the one integration that I really, really like as well is also this Slack piece. This one I kind of saved for last here. So the Slack integration allows you to be notified for when a reply comes through and allows you to take actions. To set it up, you basically, you select Slack from here, and then you allow the permissions, and then you tell it which channel you'd like it to be from. It could be a private channel, it could be a public channel. And then on top of that is you want to make sure you do only process enrolled prospects. Otherwise, it may bring in like personal conversations, which you probably don't want. So make sure that that is checked. And then what it looks like is this. So if we take a look here, hopefully everybody can see this, I'll blow it up a little bit, is in Slack, it will show like this when a new reply comes in. And so you can see the name of the person here. You can see, you can see their name, you can see their company, you can see the response. And yeah, he missed a demo. Yeah, totally okay, Mark. And it's all good, and it definitely happens, so no worries there. But down here at the bottom, you can see that it says prospect profile. Click here. If I select that, it'll take me right to that person's profile, so I can look that up a little bit further. It'll show you the email as well, if that is sort of there. But do note that that email is going to be the email address that's associated with their LinkedIn, not necessarily always their business email or any of that type of stuff. Then it's going to show you Dux-Soup user. Then it's going to say the Slack ID. That's the person who basically set up the initial Slack integration. It'll then show you the campaign, the Dux-Soup campaign that they came from. And you can actually even click on the message thread just like that, and it'll take you right to the actual conversation here. But you don't need to use this because we have these beautiful few buttons here. From here, you can blacklist people. You can continue them in the campaign. This will ignore their response and get them to get the next message in the campaign. You can qualify them in or qualify them out from here. You can see the conversation history right from here. So I can click on that. I can see the entire conversation history, so on. I can switch them from one campaign to another. I can unenroll them from here if I wanted to. I could even enroll them into a completely separate campaign because you can have one person enrolled into multiple different campaigns. You can also reply from here. Okay, why do I want to do that, right? Like, you could just reply from your own LinkedIn. Why do you need to do it from Slack? That's just like over-engineering an issue, right? Like, why do I need to do that? Well, anybody in the Slack channel can also do this. One of the things that was super, super helpful when I was doing my my stint at Viral Nation and working with actually the company I co-founded with my co-founder Sergio, is we would leverage, I would leverage this Slack integration with my team. And so my SDRs at that time were actually managing, so to speak, their reps' LinkedIn accounts, but not directly. The reps were actually running their own Dux-Soup campaigns, right? And then when replies came through, it would come through to the Slack channel where the SDR was in the Slack channel with the rep and could reply on the rep's behalf and manage the conversation. So the SDR is now assisting by managing the conversation for the rep. Why isn't the rep replying to the person? That's a great question. That's what SDRs are for, is to pick up that slack, I suppose, and earn their stint. If you know, you know. But on top of that is because it's Slack, you are now also able to reply in thread, which means you can collaborate, which means you can talk to each other. Hey, so-and-so, hey, Will, what are your thoughts on this guy? How should I respond to it? Did you do this? Or blah, blah, blah. Do you know this guy? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is that you need to. We're now collectively talking about the inbound message that has come. You can do this also all from your phone as well. And don't worry for everybody that's on this call that says, I don't use Slack, I use Microsoft Teams. Teams, I just got word that should be out within the coming day or so. Giles, hopefully, assuming that is correct, right? Is that true? Day or so, or a couple weeks?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, it's due out within the next day or two. There was a demo available earlier today, I believe. So yeah, we're looking either the end of this week or perhaps beginning of next week at the latest.
Fantastic. So you can squint your eyes and pretend you're looking at, Microsoft Teams. But this becomes huge for not only like if you're an SDR managing other people and all these other areas, but also comes in handy if you're the manager. You can basically be in the channel with your SDRs or your team and help them with some of these replies. You could follow up with them. Hey, Giles, how come you haven't followed up with this guy? What's going on? Where did it go? Did you end up going through, right? You can do your own little nosing and going around, but it could also be helpful for when you're running maybe, I don't know, a campaign for your marketing department. If your marketing department is coming to you and saying, hey, sales team, I want you guys to go ahead and run or promote this webinar that's sort of going on. You can invite the marketing people into this. They don't have access to your LinkedIn. They're only seeing the replies that come through from here. We also, I got word that we have an update. I don't know when this one's going to come through, so I won't put a date on it, where you'll be able to actually see the KPIs also will be sort of delivered to you in Slack and also in Teams, but that's not quite here yet. But yeah, so the Slack area is the beautiful place for you to now organize your inbox a little bit more effectively and collaborate together on some of these messages for other members of the team to get visualization, and then also be just notified, because I'm guilty of this as well. I get tons of replies on LinkedIn, and your LinkedIn inbox in general gets messy. When you're in there, sometimes you're going through and you're like, what person is like this and what person is that? Like, where is here? Like, is this guy a personal connection? Was he this? Was he that? It sometimes can get a little messy in these areas. So you can access it if you're the user by going to your funnel flow and navigating it from there. Or if you have Slack or if you have Microsoft Teams, you can be able to leverage it from one of these areas as well and set this up. And this is included and does not cost anything extra at that time. Great. So now I'm going to speed up here with the last couple of minutes and I'm going to stop sharing, and hopefully there we go. And now I need to go back to the slide. Sorry, we're using this new platform here. Great. So Ken, we're back seeing we should see the slide that says team benchmarks. Yes?
Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, okay. Great.
Push the buttons to get the content through.
Yep. All right. So I've been throwing a lot of information at you, right? Giving you a little bit of understanding of how you should maybe think about approaching LinkedIn to some degree, understanding a little bit of the LinkedIn dialect, knowing that the Teams plan, which is free, can have admins, you can see a multi-funnel, you can create team campaigns and share them and have team skipping, all this great fun stuff. But then what if for people who are kind of new and venturing into this space, maybe you just are now venturing in to look at how you're going to implement LinkedIn, for your overall team or multiple users, and maybe you're heading this on or whatnot. What are some good benchmarks to sort of go about this, right? Well, what I've learned over my time is that 25 invitations per day, which is actually the throttle that Dux-Soup is set to out of the box. When you download it, you can change your throttle all you want, but 25 invitations per day is a generally well accepted number, especially if you have Sales Navigator or Premium. If you have free LinkedIn, you may want to think about maybe reducing this a little bit down, maybe to 20 or 15 or even 10, invitations, depending on how often you use regular LinkedIn. But 25 a day is a decent number. And having anywhere between 100 to 200 invitations being sent out per week. Now, the number of invitations is not being held back by Dux-Soup. We're not holding you back by saying you can only send out this many invitations. It's LinkedIn that is sort of holding you back. And LinkedIn doesn't want you to know how many invitations you can send. And the number I can send is different than Joe, then is different than, Giles or our CEO. So you don't really know what that is. But generally speaking, across all of our understandings and seeing across the market is you can send about 100 to 200 per week. Some people can get away with more, some people can get away with less. But this number is a great number to actually A/B test with, because what you can do is you can go ahead and grab a list or CSV of maybe 150 or 200 people and enroll them into one of your campaigns. And that will last a couple of days and see how the messaging reacts. And then analyze that, adjust your campaign, and move from there. This will make more sense here in just a second. Now, a 30% acceptance rate is a healthy acceptance rate. 20% acceptance rate is like the bare minimum. If you are getting below a 20% acceptance rate, after you've had given time for your campaign to mature, because people can accept at different times. So if you've enrolled 100 people, you wait a couple days after the last invite's been sent. If you're getting below a 20%, you need to go check on something and kind of halt your entire campaign and take a look from there. If you're averaging at about a 30, that's a decent amount. If you're for people who are pretty good, been doing LinkedIn automation and these types of things for quite some time, the 40s, 45% is a decent range for people to be at from there. Then 35% response rate. That's high, maybe for some people on this call. What the hell? How do you get a 35% response rate, right? Well, this really comes down to you adjusting your campaign, right? And so I could do a whole demonstration on this version, but effectively you can read any of these and adjust how your campaign's performing based on this. So if you have a low acceptance or a low response, maybe that means you have the overall wrong approach, wrong messaging, and you're approaching the wrong audience. If you have a low acceptance but a high response rate, that means you have maybe a bad connection message. If you have a high acceptance and a low response, that means you need to adjust your follow-up messages, right? Maybe you're being too salesy in your messaging and you need to maybe scale that back just a tad. If you have a high acceptance and a high response rate, well, that should be a good thing, right? Well, then why are you having issues? Well, it most likely is because you're not maybe pushing the conversation forward effectively, right? So you're getting people to accept, you're getting them to reply, but maybe you're not pushing it forward to some degree, right? So this is a good way to sort of assess all of your campaigns and kind of go from there. Now, I'm looking at the time right now, and so I'm going to speed through this last piece here, which is multi-channel, and effectively what you can do with Dux-Soup is, and what I've done at teams and organizations is I effectively will use Dux-Soup and hook it up with a combination of our native integrations and using something like Zapier or Make.com or our API if we needed to. We have an open API. And I'll hook these up to something like ZoomInfo or Clay or Trigify, which are social selling-based intent platforms to monitor for when job changes happen or likes of a post or something like that. Then I'll also hook up Dux-Soup to my email platform as well and have those go out simultaneously for a multi-channel approach. And you can, wherever you're sort of utilizing any of your email outreach, how you hook it up is just a mannerism of using either Zapier, Make, or one of our native integrations that we have, or some of our partner integrations as well, which I don't have time to sort of cover in here. And then you can have a sort of cohesive, consistent approach with my SDR teams. What I had them do is they would vet in from Sales Nav, and then they would enroll into Sales Loft and work it out of there. Meanwhile, have Dux-Soup be running as like a sidecar. So they're running that at the same time and enrolling them into these campaigns. So combining these all together helps, and using Make.com or Zapier. Make.com has a very, very, very generous free tier. So if you ever want to explore that version, I think it's like 1,000 actions for free. But that said, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to be able to go over my automation mistakes, so I'm just going to skip to the end. And I know we're coming in, but I think we got some time to cover questions with a weird S at the end, maybe with a couple extra minutes. Any questions?
So we had a couple of queries. I'm going to be super quick on these. Tom was asking, I think it was Tom, is this live? Oh no, it was Josh. Is this live? Yes, it's live. Will I get the recording? Yes, you'll get the recording. Just to update, you'll get the recording sent across to you tomorrow. And you can access all the content that we've shared. So the booking demo, which is on your screen, the free trial registration sign up, the content that we've got in that related or resources section in there with the links to some of our articles, which help you in setting up things. We've also got the page, I think it's in one of the bright colored boxes that's on your screen, which takes you to the team plan, so you can have a look at the features that Scott's discussed with you today. So everything stays live, and that will be in the on-demand version tomorrow. And David has asked if we can send the slides out. So all the content is in the on-demand. The slides in there, you can scroll through the slides within the session. So that should be fine, David. But if you want the actual PDF, then if you get in contact with support team info@dux-soup.com, then they can send those to you directly. I also wanted to say, if you are already an individual user and you would be interested in upgrading to be a team user, then that is the same email address to get in touch with, info@dux-soup.com, and they will sort you out with your upgrade. There's no additional cost in the upgrade. It's just literally transferring you from an individual seat to enable you to add more people on. So, if you're a small business like myself, for example, I work for Dux-Soup. They're one of my clients, obviously my favorite client. But if I'm growing my business, and rather than just myself, I also want to include my colleague, then that's perfect. If you're a team that you have, 50, 70, 100, doesn't matter. The team plan is available for everybody.
And I know we want to keep the time because we're here. There's just I want to address really quickly Ian and Tom's questions here. So I see this. So
I saw Ian's questions as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of say it out loud to everyone here. So Ian's asking, do personalized requests get better responses? Is it worth looking at LinkedIn Premium if using Dux-Soup? So do personalized connection requests get more responses? This has actually been almost like a objective sort of thing. Everybody sort of asks. It really depends. I say that it depends on your audience of who and your list, and segmenting that list as much as possible. And so if you happen to know, for instance, let's say you are targeting the speakers of an event or something like of that nature, right? So you have a list of all these people that are going to be, or maybe they're attending your event. I don't know, whatever it may be, but it's all event related. I would include a personalized connection request there and make it about the event, because that's relevant in that area, right? If I'm doing something more generic, like who hasn't gotten that request? It's like, hey, I noticed your profile and it looked interesting and thought I would go ahead and connect. Look, LinkedIn's now been around for almost 20 years, I feel like, at this point. And that connection message has been pretty played out. So you want to get definitely a little bit more creative on these areas. And so sometimes in that case, I may want to actually use a blank connection message and not send one out, because then that also creates a sense of vagueness, and you don't also qualify yourself out either, which is also great. Then I know Tom asked, what are some of the native integration partners? We have like the ones I mentioned, CRMs, HubSpot, Pipedrive, Salesforce, and Slack, and the other ones that I mentioned, and SharpSpring, Freshsales. But then we also have a couple of other partners. If you take a look at our integrations page, there's also one that was just discovered that was created from an N8N competitor. It's not N8N, but it's called Lindy AI. And so we have an integration with Lindy AI as well that's new. We haven't quite announced it, but if you're looking for an AI workflow platform and you want to hook up Dux-Soup to that, you can check out Lindy AI, as we have integrations with them currently. So, yep.
Cool. Thank you.
There's one very quick question there from Dave, which if I can just change to there. How would you recommend change the message to followers when you're on the max for connections? So I assume by that, Dave, you mean you've got 30,000 first-degree connections? I think that's what you're implying there. Yeah, that's a tricky one, because of course you can't connect to those people, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't follow people. You couldn't visit people just to get them to see that you're interacting. So really messaging people if you are at 30,000 connections, is a tricky one. Any views on that, Scott?
I mean, yeah, exactly what you said. And sorry, it caught me mid-thought there. And with the followers, I mean, since you can't add any more connections, there's not much, you can't send any more connections, right? So you can increase and have Dux-Soup steps. I'm not sharing my screen, but one of the actions can be, instead of connection message, it could be a follow if you wanted to follow those folks. On top of that is in Turbo, for instance, and I know in Pro, you can actually remove connections as well. So you can actually do that inside of the Dux-Soup platform. So if you want to go in there and kind of clean out some of those, I mean, if you know all 30,000, kudos. And I feel like by 8 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon, you know pretty much the entire world at that point. But yeah, but there's probably maybe some people in there that you could probably remove. And Dux-Soup, you can actually there's ways that you can remove people at scale. So if you needed to do that.
Purging those connections, especially if you change industry, you've got maybe a portion of your audience maybe are reaching retirement and that kind of thing, you can filter by that in using search criteria. One last one there for Aaron, who's just asked the question: if you select a portion of LinkedIn users, how do you restart at the last ending part? The great news is you can never put someone in the same campaign twice. So Dux-Soup will automatically go, you go back to that list, you say, now I want to enroll another 50 people. It will skip through anybody who's already in that campaign, and it'll find the next 50 targets for you. So that's how you can do that.
That's awesome.
Further, adding on to that, there's a checkbox when you're creating your campaigns as well, that I'm just not sharing my screen, but there's a checkbox there underneath when you're naming the campaign that says reject profiles from other campaigns. And so what that will do is, as you're enrolling people, whether that's from a CSV, a list, Sales Navigator, CRM, whatever it may be, if they were previously enrolled into a Dux-Soup campaign of yours, it will skip over. And then again, if it's a team campaign, it will go ahead and skip over if Giles got to him first before I did, if that makes sense. So
we've just had another message in as well. Thanks, guys. Should I use a separate laptop PC to run my campaigns from? I
see the message there. Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, yeah, if you're using Turbo, then you have the option to run it locally on your device. Some people like to run it on a separate device because that's more convenient. You've got the cloud option as well. If you're just running one account, it won't slow your device down too much. It won't be too resource hungry. But if you're running multiple accounts, then you may want to consider either using a separate device or maybe even using the cloud edition. If you're using LinkedIn at the same time, then make use of the planner functionality so it doesn't look like that there are multiple LinkedIn sessions active all the time. That's all covered in some of our safety documentation, which I think is included in a lot of the documentation that's shared with this with the webinar here. And what time frame should you use for your 20 invites of the day? Well, it's up to you. It depends on where you're located. We see, well, I was talking to a customer the other day, and he was saying that he sees great success at sending messages, and this is in Northwest Europe, I hasten to add, between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Has a great level of success doing that. Different areas of the world, different places will have different what do you want to call it, profiles, I guess. But that's certainly what I've heard is mid to late afternoon seems to be a good time to getting these things out.
On top of that is I love thinking about this from this aspect, because when you're sending out connection messages or these types of things at different time frames, it's important to also realize the medium of how the person on the other side is interacting with LinkedIn. Are they looking at it from their phone? Why are they on LinkedIn in the first place and looking and reading at your message? Are they updating their job? Are they, stalking an ex-coworker? Are they doing this? Are they just going from here? Or did they open it up specifically to look at your message, right? And so sometimes they could even be standing in line at Starbucks, right? And they're waiting for their vanilla mocha, whatever. They pull out their phone, they open up Instagram, then close it, and then open up Instagram again. And you're like, why did I open up Instagram twice? And then they're like, I shouldn't do that. I'll open up LinkedIn. And then they happen to see your message, right? There's so many different ways that people actually interact, right, with the social media website, because that's what it is, what LinkedIn is. And so what you may see is that there is sort of some odd times. It's not necessarily because they're sitting at their, like when you send an email address or you send an email, it's in their inbox, which is where they're working. When you send them a LinkedIn message, they're opening up LinkedIn. They're not maybe necessarily working. They could be looking at this for different reasons and purposes. So you may find that there's different times that people interact with you more often than not, depending on maybe your industry or whoever it is you're going for. So things to think about as you go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, I think it's come to that time for us to say a big, thank you to you guys for all the help and support that you've given me over the past year. And thank you to our lovely audience who keep us here week after week, month after month. We hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year, or a wonderful break, whatever it is that you do at this time of year. And we haven't advertised our January webinar yet, but do keep a lookout on our webinar pages, and we will update you as soon as we've worked out a plan of what we want to be doing.
Absolutely. And don't forget to leave us if using this, leave us a review, and you'll be able to get a cap and reach out to us, and we'll send this over to you if you'd like to get one of these rolling around town. And as a thank you, been a wonderful year, and thank you so much for joining. My name's Scott. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect with me, or book a demo and come say what's up, and we might be happy to sort of answer any questions and so on.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks everybody. We'll see you in the new year.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.